At one point in time this season, the Boston Celtics appeared to be a team that was going to participate in the NBA draft lottery. Fast forward just a couple of months later, after one of the biggest midseason turnarounds the NBA has ever seen, the Boston Celtics have officially punched their ticket into the NBA Finals after defeating the Miami Heat last night in Game 7. This is their first trip back to the NBA's brightest stage since 2010, and they'll be looking to win their first championship since 2008 as they take on the mighty Golden State Warriors in a best-of-7 series beginning on Thursday. The story behind this magical season all starts with the Eastern Conference MVP. Without his greatness this season, none of this would even be possible. Jason Tatum laid it all on the line last night in a win-or-go-home setting and ensured the C's weren't going home anytime soon, letting the world know that he was going to do whatever it took to take his team across the finish line. Jason's NBA career has been full of ups and downs, starting with the last time Tatum reached the conference finals, as it was in his rookie season when he elevated his game to carry the injury-depleted Celtics to Game 7 before bowing out to the greatness of a man by the name of LeBron. After that season, it almost seemed inevitable that this young group would reach the NBA Finals and form into a dynasty with just how good and young they looked, but ever since then, it's honestly been anything but smooth sailing, as Tatum very quickly realized just how hard it is to win in the NBA, and there has even been plenty of talk up until this season of this group eventually splitting up, as many people believed that this roster didn't have what it takes to compete for a chip. Instead of giving up, this core group stuck together through it all and pushed through a horrific early season start and is now one series away from delivering the franchise's 18th championship. Tatum didn't have the craziest game by any means yesterday in Game 7, as he saw a wide variety of double teams and game plans thrown his way all night, but this allowed for his incredibly improved playmaking ability over the years to once again shine as bright as ever, setting his teammates up for wide open looks where honestly these Celtics team-oriented efforts in that game were the reason they won, as they were able to outlast the greatness of Jimmy Butler all night. It doesn't matter how many points he scored, how many shots he took or missed, however the Heat were going to play him, Tatum's only goal was to come out with this dub, and after playing a grueling 46 minutes in Game 7, this mindset is how they came away with the victory, as multiple guys on this roster followed in his footsteps and got the job done. One thing I do also want to add about Tatum's playoff run thus far is, on top of the superstar performances that he's had, he's also had to go through one of the hardest paths we've seen to a finals in terms of other stars he had to go up against, as he played Kyrie and KD in round 1, a prime Giannis Antetokounmpo in round 2, and Jimmy Butler, who showed us to be one of the best players in the league when facing elimination. And if he ends up getting through Steph and this absolutely stacked Warriors team, there will be incredible takes on the greatness of Tatum and his legacy. And to top it all off, Tatum has now improved his record in Game 7s in the playoffs to 4-1, further pushing his narrative of leading the future generation of the NBA. This Game 7 win resembled what the Boston Celtics have been all about, not just this playoffs, but all season after their turnaround, as it wasn't all just Tatum in this game. Multiple players on the team have stepped up at different times, and is what truly makes this team so dangerous is the fact that yes, they do have a superstar in Jason Tatum, but around him they have so many different pieces that all excel at a wide variety of different things, and it's this same theme of having as complete of a team as you can get with the Warriors as well, and is the reason they are on the other side against the Celtics in the finals, as it's been clear that Doncic, Giannis, and Jimmy could all arguably be the 3 best players in this year's playoffs, but it just goes to show you this year that team basketball has heavily outweighed the efforts of any individual thus far, no matter how historic a player may have been playing, and it's this same thing that will determine the NBA champion this year, as it won't solely rely on how good Tatum or Curry play. Both teams, practically from top to bottom, are going to need to show up in this next series, and I have a feeling it's going to be one for the ages. Right alongside Jason Tatum, he has one of the best second options in the NBA in Jaylen Brown, a duo that could forever cement their legacy with the Boston faithful if they wind up winning the title, as last night the two of them combined for 50 points, where it wasn't just their offense that won them the game. They both played excellent defense as well on Jimmy, not falling for his pump fakes all night long and limiting the contributions of every other player on the Heat. With this win, Brown, just like Tatum, is quickly earning his respect for his ability to come out with wins in Game 7s, where he is now 5-1 in those games. And then the man who is in charge of putting the right pieces in the right places, Ime Udoka, has 100% had the most stressful year of his life, on top of just how hard it is to coach an NBA team and win this many games in the playoffs alone. His job was most definitely in extremely rocky waters to start out the year, with all of the talent this group had and how much they were underperforming, especially considering that he was just a rookie coach and this was his first outing as a head coach. But all of the credit goes out to him for the entire locker room change that he committed to, which created one of the best teams in the NBA, completely switching how they operated on a nightly basis on the floor. And he very quickly became a strong candidate to win the Coach of the Year award by the end of the regular season and just became the first rookie head coach in NBA history to win multiple Game 7s. Once again, it's actually insane how much can change for someone in the span of a year, and Ime deserves all of the praise in the world for what he's been able to do for this group, as out of any of the head coaches that the Boston Celtics have had under this core, he managed to take them the farthest only in his rookie season, which truly tells you something about his coaching and how special he is. And then you have Al Horford, finally after playing in his 15th season in the NBA, will get a shot at a title, as he held the record for the most playoff games with 141 played without reaching the NBA Finals. He's made the playoffs 13 times out of his 15-year career and has reached the conference finals 3 times. And a fun fact about all of this as well is that he will be the first Dominican player to play in the finals. Horford has completely turned back the clock this season, looking like his all-star self for the majority of the time, where not many people would have believed you at the start of the year if you told them that Al Horford would be a large contributor on a finals team with how his career was heading, being that this is his 15th season in the NBA, and he has been playing extremely well, where hopefully he can continue his efforts from beyond the arc, where he's shooting 43.2% from 3 this playoffs and 50% from the field. He did score just 5 points in Game 7, but he chipped in for 14 rebounds and anchored a defense that held Miami to shoot 42% in last night's game. And then lastly, out of this group who have been with the club for a while, Marcus Smart is the longest tenured Celtic, and he's been through it all with this team, and you could definitely say that he's one of the most deserving of this accomplishment. He isn't the captain of this squad, as Ime Udoka declined to name one this season, but he might as well be based on what he brings to this team, both offensively and defensively, and just in terms of his energy. This was Smart's 4th trip to the conference finals, as he's been the understudy to Isaiah Thomas, a backup to Kyrie Irving, and the defensive replacement for Kemba Walker in all of his other appearances. He has been the subject of countless trade rumors and acquired his share of the blame whenever things fell apart. And after all of that now behind him, he has officially accomplished one of the dreams not every NBA player gets to accomplish in an NBA Finals trip, and Marcus Smart can only admire the long journey he had to endure. And this time, he wasn't nobody's replacement. He is the Defensive Player of the Year and a huge reason as to why this team is where they are. But there is also one thing that I can assure you, and it's the fact that he isn't even close to where he wants this story to end. He wants his name to be engraved in the history books like the rest of this team. These 4 players are just a group that have honestly achieved what nobody expected they could, and I honestly just felt like they needed to receive a ton of respect for the years that led up to this moment. Outside of them, all year I've made videos on the other pieces on this team who have not only chipped in for this accomplishment all year, but also have the ability to continue those efforts in the finals. In Robert Williams, the man who will continue to be tasked with roaming the paint against the Warriors. Grant Williams, a guy where I honestly believe he will be heavily utilized whenever the Dubs decide to play small. And then Pritchard and Derek White will both be used to keep up with the Warriors bench to give the starting tandem on Boston as much rest as possible to ensure that they're 100%, as we all know how deadly both the starting lineup and the bench unit of the Warriors can be. The stories are endless for how great this season was for the Boston Celtics, and as they probably gave themselves last night to celebrate the adversity they had to overcome, they are going to need to quickly flip the switch once again, as they have a Golden State Warriors super team waiting for them for the start of another bloodbath of a series. This team is going to be the hardest the Warriors have had to go up against this playoffs, and I truly think that the Boston Celtics are going to give the Golden State Warriors a run for their money with how this team can be defensively matching up against the high-powered offense of the Warriors, who may be playing their best basketball right now. As for the Celtics, if they manage to win the NBA Finals, this would be one of the craziest comeback stories we have ever witnessed, and all we can do now is wait and see.